Welcome, everybody. We've got Curtis, RedX from the hangar. He's doing like a planning for the whole company. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Hey, just quarterly planning, and we're here. But stepped aside because I got some things to share about circle prospecting.
Okay, good. Circle prospecting. Here's what we're going to cover, or we're going to stay around the theme of circle prospecting. But if I get one listing, right, that's really the door to many more things. So where do I start with it? Because a lot of people are like, oh no, I got a listing. Okay, I got to take it to the seller, make sure I communicate with them daily. That's important too, right? Maybe door knock, maybe do an open house, and maybe I'll have my internal marketing team for the office. Maybe they'll post up one or two graphics, and then that's it. That's the plan. What does this look like in your head to get more business out of this?
Well, I want to actually start before you get the listing because, we, as you know, we are constantly talking to top producing agents and trying to figure out what are they doing because things, there's some fundamentals in business, right? In real estate, we're always talking to strangers to get to know them, put them in our CRM, follow up. Like some things is just how you do business. But the nuances of how things change, we always want to be kind of on the cutting edge of how people are getting business. We've seen a shift in the last several years of how people are using neighborhood searches. GeoLeads is what we call it at RedX.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's incredibly creative and beneficial, but we're seeing more and more people trying to differentiate themselves in a listing presentation. Right? There's less inventory. There's less transactions going on. And you can tell me inventory's up and I go, okay, but comparatively to where we've been, we still have really low inventory. So there's more agents competing for the listings. And so before you even get the listing, we're showing how circle prospecting is helping people get the contract before they even go in, because as they're in these appointments and you want to differentiate yourself from other agents they may be considering, they want to know what are you going to do that's different than the other agents. And so I spoke to a customer the other day and was trying to drill down into his business and what he's doing. And he will open up GeoLeads in a listing presentation. He'll open up the map, show them their house, and then show them 300 neighbors around there. And of course you pull that in and then they're starting to see all of their neighbors' names and addresses and phone numbers. And then he'll tell them, say, well, see, I'm gonna use this data and I'm going to do a few things with this data. I'm going to invite all of your neighbors to an open house, which is a great strategy, whether you're using it to win the listing anyway. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's, hey, I'm going to call everybody to do that. And the reason why this is important. So if I'm in a listing presentation and I'm talking to you, Tristan, I would say, Tristan, did you know that statistically most people move within 10 minutes of their friend's family or work? And so the likelihood that the person who's going to buy your home knows someone in this neighborhood. That's just statistics. And if we can find the person that knows the person who's going to move into the neighborhood, then we can try to expedite this process and get your home sold and get you off to, Florida to be with your grandkids or whatever their motivation is. And so not only that, but how many other agents sat there and showed them their 86-point marketing plan and they showed all this stuff they're going to do. But you pull up a map and you show their actual neighbors and you go, I'm going to call all of them because we're going to do all the other stuff that everybody else is doing, but we're going to do this because we know that one of your neighbors is likely to know the person who's going to buy your home. And so to use this circle prospecting as a way to win the listing is a big deal. So that's number one. Number two is once you have the listing, it's like, well, how do we compound that and turn this listing into multiple listings? And of course, it's that same process. The first thing is, well, and let's not pigeonhole that into multiple listings. It's multiple transactions, because right now open houses, I feel like You remember as internet leads started to ramp up, everybody started clowning on open houses.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're doing that. That's like, you're 20 years old. Why are you still doing that? And now with buyer's agency agreements and the ability to tour homes in an open house without a buyer's agency agreement, there's a lot of incentive for buyers to be going to an open house. And we're seeing that a lot more in different markets. So open houses are coming back.
Dude, that's interesting because I feel the same thing happening here. I think when people are pushing the AI thing, more people want to visit homes now. It's like, what happened? I want to go see it in person. Is that really how it looks? That's what I'm hearing. I'm like, we got to go see this. I'm like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah, well,
You're
you
right.
can't believe you can't believe anything, and people are, bless your hearts, you're taking photos of a home and you're doing the same thing that you do to your profile pictures to make yourself look way better than you do in real life. So you're doing that to homes, and so people are starting to be skeptical because then when they do see that, not to mention the amount of AI doctoring and digital staging and virtual staging and lawn doctoring. I'm going to make the grass green, and we're going to get rid of the shadows, and we're going to add the lighting, and all this stuff that was cutting edge technology that helped for a while now is hurting a lot of those listings because it's not authentic. So you're right. You are seeing more people that want authenticity and they want to see the property in person. And an open house is a great way to see a whole bunch of people. Now we could talk for an hour about how do you turn an open house into a lead generation party, because that's what it should be. You should have a check-in process. You should be gathering names and phone numbers. You should be getting notes on those people, finding out if they're already working with an agent. You should be putting them then in their CRM to have great follow-up. All of those things about an open house.
Do you guys have a connection to Open Home Pro? Remember that? That was like the first app ever that came out. I don't even know. We don't even hear it more often now. But if I'm capturing them in something like Open Home Pro, sending them over to now my bigger database that I've added from RedX, right? Because now I've got the geographic farm. I just did a listing. I got a listing, got the geographic farm from RedX. Now I'm also capturing everybody with Open Home Pro or whatever. And I'm going to add those to the list. Then I'm retargeting them, right? Because now the next time I have an open house, great, those people that came through, but what about all the rest of the people, right? And then what's my follow-up process? Yeah, man, I like this. And did you see the stat yesterday? Because you're all about stats and numbers.
I've been in planning meetings. What did I miss?
Okay, you missed something, but it's NAR's report. It just came out. Let me just share it with you. Share screen. NAR. So NAR came up with this yesterday, and I thought it was crazy because where it is. Let me zoom in. 1.47 million units total housing inventory, up 5.8% from March and 1.4% from April 2025. So inventory is slowly creeping up, which means things are becoming more affordable. People are getting more comfortable going out. And look at the supply of unsold inventory. It's slowly creeping up, right?
Yeah,
So
the market is shifting as a country, right?
Yeah, very true.
So
anyway, those are important things for me because more homes out there, more people wanting to go out and view them, but they're going to be more selective.
Yeah. Yep. And they can be right now. So because right now the amount of canceled, expired, withdrawn listings, people coming off the market is also up significantly from last year, right? So canceled and expireds are up nearly over 20% from last year. So a lot of stuff going on the market and not going anywhere. So again, using circle prospecting to contact all of your neighbors to try to drive attention and awareness in the neighborhood is pretty critical to getting your home sold right now. So that's one, right?
Okay.
let's talk. You dig into the open houses a little more. My favorite script that I've heard is actually Tyler, who's been on with you before.
Yeah. Last week.
Was he on last week? Yeah. So he'll call and he'll say, "Hey, I just want to let you know we're having an open house down the road at 123 Street, and I wanted to apologize ahead of time for some increased traffic." And then you pause, and the neighbor's going to go, "What? Why is there going to be increased traffic?" And then you can talk about, well, let me tell you about this house. It's really amazing. Actually, we'd love to have you come by and check it out. And you just need to get them there. And this is doing two things. It's showing everybody in the neighborhood that you work really hard as a real estate agent to get listings sold. So that if they're even thinking about it, they're going to go, well, actually, we've been thinking about getting it sold. What price is it listed at? And they're going to ask questions. And again, your whole job is, let's come meet me. Come to this open house. I'm going to be there Saturday from 8 to 12, and come by and you start a relationship with those people.
Well, what's also going to happen, because we've done this, and you've heard it too, which is when we're calling and we're doing our process, which is calling everyone to let them know about the listing that we just listed, calling them to let them know that there's an open house, calling them to let them know, blah, 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 the whole process. What happens is towards the beginning of that, they'll say, oh yeah, you know what? Call me when it sells. We're curious, right? They'll always say, call me then. And then that's obviously the last call, but that's an open door to communicate with them more. And it's like, wait a second, are they interested? And then you have the sequence of questions, but that happens a lot, man.
Yeah. And which is, my number 5 is just sold calls, right? So you call when it just listed, you call when it just sold. And again, it's just informing, hey, we got it sold, because your goal is two things. You're building a brand and reputation, and a brand in real estate is just an opinion that people have about who you are. And people form opinions when they interact with you over and over and over again. So I just listed the home. I want to invite you to an open house. Wherever that conversation goes, I could do a CMA. Are you curious about price? Whatever. And then you're following up with, I just got it sold. You're bookending this idea that, oh, I'm a real estate agent that lists homes and sells homes. And in those interactions, you're actually showing them, you're allowing them to form an opinion or belief about you. And what's really great is when you double this up in the neighborhood, right? So if you have a listing and you do this, and then you have another listing and you do this, and you're catching some overlap of those neighborhoods, then all of a sudden they're going, man, this Tristan guy sells a lot of homes.
And I mean, dude, I think this is the part that I want everyone to pay attention to, because it starts with one listing, right? But if we start, I'm going to just have some fun with you. Okay, here. This is why they never give us one topic. It's terrible.
I know, right?
But we're going to do this anyway, because I want everyone to kind of flow with what you're saying, because it's important. And I don't want it to be forgotten. Here. So we've got one listing, right? Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So you got one listing. Now from one listing, the first thing that we talked about was open houses, right? The next thing is you've got, what is this, a geo list? Would you call it a geo list or no?
We just call it a just listed list, right? Neighborhood, or GeoLeads list, but just listed list, right? And I would go bigger, not smaller on this.
Okay.
You'd be surprised at how people, it depends on your market, but I'd go 200 people, 250
really?
people. Yep.
200. So 200 around that home.
Yeah, and you want to be careful. Like if there's a freeway in between, you're in a different world sometimes. So you got to know your market and how big you can go. But in a lot of areas, 200 is not too big to be calling around a listing.
And you're going to call, right?
You're going to call. So we're going to call postcards to the nearest 50.
Okay, hold your horses. 50 postcards. Neighbors, right?
Yep. And you need to, your strategic reason for that, right now, I would say your open house. So you're calling, we just listed, want to let you know, we're trying to get you to an open house. The postcard then is, hey, we're having an open house at this house, and we
So
wanted,
you have opportunities. You have just listed, open house,
Mhm. Yep.
and then obviously sold.
Just
if you
sold.
sell it. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So just listed, you have so many opportunities here for just listed, and then you're going to call for call neighbors. Call for hold on. Let's get the list. How's that? Let's do get list first. That's number one. List around the home, and then call. It would be call just listed, and then
Yep.
when else would we call?
Again, it's the same for open house or sold.
Got it. I see.
Yep.
Would we just now with the open houses? Wouldn't we want to door knock it too if it's a door knockable area or no?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yep.
And what do we hand out?
So it depends on your reason, right? Sometimes it's a market analysis or not a CMA, because that's your kind of your funnel. You want them to be curious about what's going on in their neighborhood, in their market,
Mhm.
so that they ask more questions, because now you can be the expert, that's advising them on things, and then you have a reason to follow up, right? So
Mm.
if you're just knocking around the neighborhood of a listing, one great strategy is to have something that indicates what's going on in your marketplace. Because if they have any follow-up questions, it's a really natural, simple transition to go, well, you know what, Tristan, it's no problem for me. Why don't I spend some time and look at your home specifically and kind of do a
Mm.
market analysis, and then it gives you a reason to come back, gives you a reason to call back, right? You're starting a relationship at that point. So that's a really good door knocking strategy. The other one, again, is open houses. I wanted to invite you to this open house, and again,
Mm.
it's hey, I want to invite you to the open house, and if they say why, just tell them. Well, statistically, most people move within 10 minutes of their friends, family, or their work. So the likelihood that you might know somebody that would move in here and you'd have the opportunity to choose who your neighbors would be is pretty
Mhm.
high. So, we want to invite you to check out the house so that you know what's going on in your neighborhood and you know what kind of condition the homes are in. It also gives you an idea of how you could compare your home to theirs, right? In
That's
case you
true.
were ever thinking about leaving or selling. Yep.
All right. So then take me through what else we can do because we need 1,000 people for a custom audience or a
Hmm.
local area. So we got 1,000 around listing.
Yep. Yep. You want to do an ad
And
campaign
then
around your
we want
listing?
we want to do ads for I guess would you do one for traffic or would you do a lead ad?
So it depends on what you're doing. If it's an open house again, I would do a traffic ad.
Got
It
it.
would just be exposure. You're just trying to let everybody in the neighborhood know that you are a real estate agent doing business in that neighborhood. And if you get people to show up, again, this is Tyler does this, on all of their open houses. So he'll start, you know, let it queue up for a week, and then he'll spend very low dollar amount on traffic, 10,
Mm,
15, $20 total. But you have 1,000 people around that open house that are going to see that you're having an open house in their neighborhood 2 or 3 times a day in their news feed
true.
for the week leading up to that. So yeah, you want to, so all of this is marketing around just one listing, right?
Mhm.
Um, and this is how you start to turn it into something big. There's a couple of tricks there. Is again, whether it's your listing or someone else's, if you can do 2 listings in a short period of time where they're going to remember you. Like,
Yeah.
didn't you just have an open house here? I sure did. Didn't you just call me to let me know you sold something here? I sure did. Right now all of a sudden that one listing isn't just about the transactional domino effect. It's about the brand and reputation you start to build in a neighborhood, so that when they start to think of real estate, they're going to start to think of you, right?
I agree. I think
So,
one thing I would add here, organic social. So, you know how we're talking about open houses? Well, people love walking through the home, man. So I would say do a walkthrough, do
yep,
multiple ones. I would say do probably 3 short videos. And how I would do it is a walkthrough, favorite feature, and then the neighborhood, like the community. What's there
yep,
to do type of thing. And then what I would also do on the social is I would invite brokers and agents to also run their social here. I think sometimes we forget that that exposes this property to more.
yep, yep.
That's what I love doing, dude.
So I've got one more thing
Shoot,
that isn't maybe necessarily about the one listing, but it is about circle prospecting, neighborhood prospecting. There are two more things really.
go.
Um, and the first is what we call reverse prospecting.
Mhm.
And you know, sometimes if you have a buyer, it's amazing how many listings you can get if you have a buyer looking for a specific thing
Mm.
and they want a specific neighborhood, right?
Okay.
And you can use GeoLeads to narrow that down, just like you would in the MLS to find what they want. Use
Mm.
GeoLeads to say, give me every property that has 2 bedrooms and 3 baths, and is in this value range, and then you call them, because now you're going, hey Tristan, I actually have a buyer who wants to move into your neighborhood looking for a 2-bedroom, 3 bath. Have you? It just is a different approach to your farming neighborhood prospecting, but it's shocking how many agents we talk to that are doing this that end up either double siding a deal if you can in your market, or end up getting the listing, even if the buyer doesn't end up buying that. But when you have a specific buyer and you narrow it down, again, marketing is all about the right message to the right person. So
Mm.
if I can narrow that down and say, hey, I'm looking for someone that is looking for this type of home, and it is the exact type of home of the person you're calling. All of a sudden, there's it's less of a weird conversation. Well, mine's a 3-bedroom. I know, that's why I'm calling. I researched this. I found your home in the tax records and tracked down your phone number
I
so I could
like
give
that,
you a call,
man.
because I wasn't sure if you were thinking about buying or selling.
That's
No,
actually
actually, we're
cool.
not. Yeah. So that's one that we're seeing people doing. And then the other one around the listing, again, this could be one around a listing, or it could just be any neighborhood, is specifically targeting absentee owners. Because a lot of the absentee owners, you may not be inviting them to an open house. They don't live there. So they're going to miss out on all this marketing that you're doing locally with targeting the neighborhoods with postcards and these things. And you want to go after, and you can just filter out. You can say, okay, I have a listing. I'm going to pull everyone in that is an absentee owner and call them, because
Mm.
and we've done this more than once in your market, where we've pulled up and absentee owners have a higher turnover rate than homeowners. They're selling the homes at a higher rate than a lot of homeowners in places. And there's a lot of reasons for that in a lot of markets. It's because they're homeowners are stuck with their rates, right? And if somebody has a 2.5% interest rate still, it's
Got
really
it.
hard for them to think about moving. But absentee owners look at it totally different. So a lot of the absentee owners, and calling them for a different reason, it's not that different of an approach. Hey, I just got a listing in your neighborhood. I noticed that you own a home in the same neighborhood, right? I just had some question. What are you doing with the property? Are you renting it out right now? Is it a vacation home? Like, what are you doing with it? And if I could show you how I can put a ton of money in your pocket versus you continue to keep a home that you have to worry about, is that worth 15 minutes of your time?
Yes,
Right.
that's cool.
And so those other two are the way. So, just listed, just sold, calling around open houses, reverse prospecting, and absentee owners. And then the last bullet point I had was just high turnover neighborhoods. Like all of these strategies work really
Wait, how
well.
do you find those? I remember you showing me like a year ago through the postcard.
Do you have Vortex? Do you have Vortex pulled up?
Let me see if I do. Give me a second. Vortex. I do.
I mean, I can pull it up too. It's always just better when we go into your account that you're using.
Let me share my screen. Vortex. There we go. Can you see it?
Okay, go GeoLeads.
Boom.
Oh no. I think your account may be expired because you don't have GeoLeads on there.
Aren't they right here?
Well, that's not the map to pull in more GeoLeads.
Oh, more.
This is why you text me every once in a while and say, "Hey, what happened to
what
happened to my account?"
Well, we were calling expires and not got it. That's why. Okay, makes sense.
Let me
go back.
Let me share my screen here.
Okay, stop sharing. Now you're going to go in and target a high turnover market.
Yep. Yeah. So if you pull up my screen.
All right. Let me go to your screen. Got you.
Okay. So if I'm just in here and I want to pull in a screen, a neighborhood, and I can say, let's again, we're gonna call 300 people around a specific property.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can show you wherever I drop. This is only a 2% turnover rate.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a pretty high turnover rate. So this one, however, is a 7% turnover rate. That's a much higher turnover rate. And then I can come over here and say, well, what about just absentee owners, non-owner occupied? They're 6% turnover rate. So in this neighborhood, owner occupied are selling at a higher rate than non-owner occupied. Right. So part of this is if the simple thing I'm trying to show is that everything we talked about works really well. It works even better if you're in a neighborhood that has a higher turnover rate because more people in that neighborhood are selling their homes. So part of it is you got to get that one listing or find somebody who has a listing there that is willing to let you market off of their listing, hopefully in your office. But if you can get the listing in that neighborhood that has a high turnover rate, then you can compound that listing at an even higher rate. And I think that's one thing that we as business owners should constantly be doing is how do I get a better ROI for the same effort? Right. And one of those things is, well, just do all of this in a higher turnover neighborhood.
That makes sense. You'll have a higher chance. Remember, you and I, that's why I remembered it. I was looking at this and we were at like 15, 16% turnover rate. And I'm like, whoa, that's great. I didn't know that existed. I always thought, anything over 5, but it wouldn't go over 10. But all right, so help me out here and then we'll wrap up. Anything I'm missing from this? We got open house, list of 200 around the home, 50 postcards, 1,000 around listing for social, organic social, because we can run those videos with Ad Builder that you have there, RedX. Target high turnover market, absentee owner list, and reverse prospecting.
Yep. And all of these things you can do if they have RedX, of course, they can do it all from within the app, right? And we're talking to people every day that are taking one listing and they're compounding that into multiple listings and getting a better ROI for their time and effort.
I like it. That was good, man. See, we stayed on topic.
I had notes for the first time. That's why.
Oh, dude. Well,
I had some notes.
It flowed really well. So, good luck on your planning. That's awesome. Everybody, please take a look at RedX. There's the QR code. I have an amazing deal for you. Get the whole package, please, so that you can do everything that we showcased. And I'm feeling like everything's going back to a more human touch, which is interesting, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to call it back to the basics, because a lot of these things aren't basics,
Yeah.
but it really is bringing a lot more of the belly to belly process, which is really nice to see.
Yeah. Yep. We like it because we facilitate that.
Yeah,
So-
you do. You do. I love it.
So-
Thanks, everybody.
So thanks, Tristan. We'll see you.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Good luck.